to talk about some real interesting stuff that's been going on in the world this week. There is a guy by the name of Derrick Jaxn. Derrick Jaxn has been one of the most talked about topics in the entire Black community, in the real Black community, in this for this entire week. The only other person that was talked about almost half as much was a brother named King Randall, the 21-year-old who started the school down in Albany, Georgia. But between King and Derrick, they've kind of taken up all the oxygen, all the conversation. Everybody has something to say, and this panel has a lot to say, and so I'm not going to say a whole lot on the Derrick Jaxn thing. I already did some commentary on it, but I'm going to bring in the panelists. So first of all, I'd like to ask everybody before we get started, quick housekeeping. Could you please hit the thumbs up button? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, support Black media, be a part of what we got going on, whatever platform you're on. That's first request. Next, let's jump right into the conversation. So Derrick Jaxn and his wife, give me his wife's name again. I apologize. What is it?
Danae.
I'm gonna write that down. Derrick and Danae Jaxn went online to discuss this crazy thing that was kind of brought to the fore by Tasha K, a gossip blogger, who seemed to really hate Derrick. Like she really seemed to have an issue with Derrick Jaxn. So she took great pleasure in bringing a woman on who said that she'd had an affair with Derrick. And if I'm not mistaken, y'all can correct me on this. I could have sworn I read something that that she's not the only one. Is that accurate?
He admitted that she's not the only one.
Okay, so now you're getting this cascade of accusations of infidelity. Not even accusations anymore. Confessions of infidelity, and it's coming from a guy who has long preached against infidelity. I mean, literally, this has been his thing. This is what he's been. People have been mad at him for appearing to pander by preaching infidelity as if it's something he would never do, and then you see the roaches all start crawling out the closet. So I'm going to jump right in and go straight to for some reason my spirit tells me to go to Dr. Charm, because I have a feeling Dr. Charm, who is a sprightly, intelligent Black woman, has a lot to say on this. So Dr. Charm, what have you seen in the whole Derrick Jaxn situation? What's going through your mind?
Well, first of all, Dr. West, I'd like to thank you for having me, and I've never been called sprightly before. I like that.
I think that's a compliment. I don't know what sprightly means exactly, but that just can't. God gave me the word, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it.
Yeah, I know what it means. So I guess I am sprightly. I he used to come across my Facebook all the time. But first of all, I just want to say, why does Danae look so out of it? Is that a bonnet or was that a winter hat going on? What's going on there? If she didn't have any makeup on, like, girl, don't let that man have you looking crazy out here in these streets. Just because he may have stepped out, I think he had to address the issues. I do watch Tasha K, and Tasha K is becoming the queen of the exclusive, and so I think she's got a thought detector, and people like Tasha K do take pleasure in outing these kind of folks, because no one likes a hypocrite. And so it kind of reminds me of the old days when I think Jimmy Swaggart, the televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, got outed, and I think Jim Baker. So every man who's kind of held to these standards or holds themselves to these standards, they open themselves up for ridicule if they're not walking the walk that they talk. And so there you go. But I like I said, for his wife, I want her to not be on here in bonnets and stuff.
Okay, so speaking of the bonnet, let me just I didn't know if it was a bonnet or I don't know, a skull cap or something. I don't know what it was. I'm gonna show y'all the picture. And I'll
don't
admit,
do that, boys.
we gotta pull up. She looks over it. We gotta, now I don't know what that. Now what do y'all think that is? Is that, it looks like a hat? It does. I thought it was a bonnet.
I thought it was a
fall winter hat. It's like a fall winter hat, but it's giving bonnet steez.
It did have definitely. I noticed the bonnet feel too, and I had the same thoughts, Dr. Charm.
So Zakia, tell me about the bonnet, skull cap, winter hat. Like, do you think that makes a difference? Like, do you think that she had any obligation to appear to the public in any particular way, or what message do you think that was sent from her? A lot of people talked about her appearance and her body language. What did you see, Zakia, when you were sort of watching Derrick's response to all of this?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Boyce. Glad to be here, and nice to finally meet Dr. Alicia as well. Um, so I noticed the bonnet immediately. I'm a woman, and I'm not going in front of millions of people with no bonnet on my head, especially after my husband is cheated. Like, to me, that spoke a lot. To what I believe is self-esteem issues, which I know as a woman can suffer, as you know, when your man has went out on you multiple times or whatever. You know, most women will have some issues around that and some insecurities. And so that's what I saw. She is certainly not healed. I heard a lot of language about, you know, God and Christianity, and that's fine. But clearly, from the outward appearance, and even when she did talk, it was not convincing to me at all.
Okay. All right. So let me go to Dr. Alicia, actually, because for some reason I feel like this is a women's conversation. I think ladies should speak first on this, because I heard a lot of language about his wife and just what people were seeing with the wife. You talk about self-esteem. She mentioned her faith in God a lot. Dr. Alicia, as a therapist, an expert on human behavior, things like that, what are your thoughts when you observed his wife?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what was being said. It's almost like what I saw in Dania might have been the result of low self-esteem. This is what happens when you're in a relationship and you're being hurt repeatedly in the relationship. You start to ruminate and you think about what he said to you that you didn't like, or she said to you. You start thinking about what happened and you repeat it over and over again in your head. And what it does, it becomes internalized. And you start thinking, oh my God, if I was good enough, he would treat me better. Or if I was good enough, she would treat me better. And so when you're on the receiving end of that type of what I would consider like emotional and psychological abuse, that this is what you see. You see the result of low self-esteem. So I would agree, you know, that this is what happens in these relationships. And it's really sad.
Okay, so let's go to the men now. T Khalik, you just came in, and I'd be curious to hear from you and Tony on. Do you think, are you in alignment with what the ladies think about what you saw, or are there more things here that maybe men might notice a little more readily than a woman might? What do you think?
Well, as far as what they're saying, how she looked tired and it looks like she didn't want to be there. Yeah. You know, she was barely smiling. It almost looked, it was forced. And, you know, the way he was just squeezing on her hand and talking, and she was just like, that was a bad look to me. I was like, man, she does not look happy. And, you know, it's just interesting to me because he's been cheating on her multiple times. But while he was cheating on her, he was preaching to Black women to avoid guys that cheat, and pretty much was very ruthless towards Black men. I mean, he didn't give us like any type of leeway. He wasn't really balanced, but at the same time, he was acting in the same behavior. It shocks me how you can act one way and then go on camera and be a completely different man. That shocked me. But yeah, no, I am in much complete agreement with the ladies. This didn't look good. I don't even think she wanted to be there. I think she was dragged there for his business to continue.
Tony, so Tony, do you think what I think? I don't think Derrick is going to get canceled over this. I think Derrick Jaxn will be back to sell another book, and you know, there's always somebody out there that'll buy a fairy tale from a big muscular man who tells her what she wants to hear. But you know, do you think that maybe with Derrick, do you think that there was a tough situation he's in? What I see is a guy who pissed off a lot of men, because a lot of men kind of saw through it. They're like, okay, you know, if he's giving relationship advice, why are you giving it with your shirt off again? Like, you know, just little things like that. Like, it was almost hilarious and comical. And what was even more comical was when I would talk to my female friends about it, and they'd be like, no, he just happened to be getting out of the shower at that time. I'm like, okay, whatever y'all got going on, that's fair, y'all can have it. But it almost seems like Derrick's challenge is, so the men are already like, whatever, man, just do your thing, go get your money, do your thing. And the women now are mad because it's like like the fairy tale has been shattered. that this idea this for whatever reason this big bulky muscular alpha male is the man of your dreams, and he's going to be super faithful and never look at another woman and all that. So I almost think that it's like he's in a tough spot, right? That he's got, you know, that the men already wasn't messing with him, and the women are like sitting back like this. What do you think his next move is supposed to be? Well, I mean, what do you seeing, Tony?
Well, honestly, I don't even really think that he's in that tough of a spot like most people think, because he actually used those same live videos to promote his book with his wife sitting right next to him. So, and let's be real, I'm not trying to knock people's hustle, but at the end of the day, Derrick Jaxn was building a sizable platform that made him a millionaire by basically throwing men under the bus. And I remember I was watching his videos, like, I mean, I watched his videos after hearing about him, and I just thought it was just some dude trying to get some booty on social media, you know, just, you know, regular dude trying to, you know, look ball buffed in the car and all that. But, you know, it turned into this big thing. And those same videos just kept popping up all over my timeline by women on social media. But the one thing I always remembered seeing from the overwhelming majority of the women that were sharing his posts were that they were always castigating, propagandizing, and blaming Black men for everything wrong with their relationships. And I say Black men because, you know, his primary fan base is Black women. And just real quick, you know, as far as the whole thing about the wife and her parents, I don't want us to judge too harshly, to be honest with you, because, you know, many of our lenses tend to be through this societal standard of beauty. And to me, I saw her as just, you know, a regular, typical, let's say, Christian woman. Maybe she's not somebody that wears a lot of makeup or whatever. So it could also be construed with her being comfortable with her appearance and not really trying to, you know, do it up for the social media. But the low self-esteem that I saw in her was with the excuse making and the dependency, the over dependency on, you know, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and all of that. That's where I saw the low self-esteem in her willingness to continue to accept this sort of behavior.
It was all game.
Everybody who's watching, we got our all Black panel. We're talking about Derrick Jaxn and will he be canceled, and the fallout from his whole, you know, thing with the women and the affairs and everything else. Everybody who's watching, if you could, please take a second, hit the thumbs up button right now. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel, whatever channel you're on. That's very important. So let's dig a little deeper then. So I'm curious about this then. You know, one of the things that Derrick mentioned in his video, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see some of it. The part I saw, he did most of the talking. And then I fast forward and I saw his wife did a little bit of talking while he was upstairs with the baby. So you know, do you think that, I think one of the points he made was that, you know, you can give advice and sometimes not take your own advice. You know, like you can be a great track coach even if you're fat, right? You know what I mean? You know, and so ultimately the question becomes, does it invalidate his advice if he's not taking it, if he's, you know, speaking a certain way about relationships and living a different path? Does that mean he's a complete fraud, or does that mean he just doesn't practice what he preaches? What do you all think? Like, I can tell you, like, before, when I was overweight, I could tell you what you need to eat and what kind of workout you need to do. I just didn't want to do it, right? Now maybe obviously if I've been online pretending like I was doing these things, and that would be a problem. But do you think that that's what it is? Do you think that the problem is that Derrick wasn't just telling people what they should do, but he was saying, these are the things I do, like almost like self-righteousness? What do you think? Yeah. I'll go to Zakiya. Go ahead, Zakiya.
So I have to say that I wasn't a main follower of his. I knew of him, right? I mean, there's like 3.7 million followers. So like he would come up in my feed from other women on my feed who listen to him. And I've heard a few of his videos. And one of the things that I know, to me, I see a manipulator.
That's right.
I see someone who is doing it for the gram. Like I was not interested in him at all. So I'm shocked that he has so many followers, especially women. I mean, sure, he's a nice looking man, and you know, dark skinned men are my type anyway. So he's a nice looking guy. But as far as all this advice and how he would intentionally drag Black men constantly and consistently did not ring it did not ring well for me at all. So I already saw him as a master manipulator. Clearly he is a master manipulator, and I never trusted him. And so yeah, that's my response to that.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, it's crazy.
Then Tony, go ahead, T.
Oh yeah, I mean, because when I first saw him, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was a fraud because I liken him to the dude, like, you know, when you are a young man and you trying to holler at a girl and she likes another dude, and whatever that other dude wrong, you're like, well, you know, a real man is not gonna do you like that. You know, I'm the type of man that's right. But the difference between Derrick Jaxn is actually the dude that woman wants, you know, because he's the, you know, the muscular, handsome black man. So that's pretty much what he was doing. Like, any man knows that. Like, pretty much, he was pretty much telling women what they want to hear for economic gain. That's right. Exactly what I saw. And, you know, what red flags that shot up to me is, I'm like, man, if this guy, you know, understands women so well, where's his wife? Like, I'm like, where's this woman? You know, I never see her. You got your shirt off and you in some sweatpants and you got your legs spread open, but then you're telling women about men to avoid. To me, it was eye candy. It was part of his brand to grab women and hypnotize them. That's how I knew he was a fraud. I mean, I saw the game. It's like he's running game on millions of women.
Yeah, word. And to even go to the question, you know, that you said, Boyce, like, I think some of the most dangerous and harmful lies are always laced with a little bit of truth. So I don't want to say, we're not going to sit here and say that all of the advice he was giving was terrible advice. No, what makes him dangerous is the fact that he knows how to use good advice and twist it in a manner in which it'll become super palatable for women. Oh, I can't. I hate looking at this dude on the screen. It's kind of weird. But
hey, you tripping with the
but that picture right there, it represents like the perfect black man archetype that a lot of our women subscribe to, right? Tall, dark, handsome, muscular, very in touch with his feminine side. So, you know, that's actually what he uses to reel you in and tell you everything that you want to hear, all of your problems. Listen, it's not your fault. It has nothing to do with your choices or your decisions. It's all his fault. It's the man. Meanwhile, he's telling you all of these things because his true goal is to enrich himself. So I say, toss it, the whole dude out, man. Just toss him out.
Well, can we talk about the religiosity?
And that's not hating, which keeps getting like black men hating on it. Go ahead.
You said the religiosity?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's getting people. We can't not talk about that. This whole Christianity and forgiveness and giving it back to the Lord. 12 years he been cheating on you and he changed now? Oh my God. I mean, it defies logic. And so it defies logic. And I'm not saying that to like beat up on the sister, because I mean, I've been there. I mean, I'm a happily married woman now, but I mean, I used to be like that. Like, everything you just give it to the Lord and it's not gonna magically get better. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like, offend people who are Christians. I'm only going by what I heard on those videos and what her whole Instagram is about. And to me, that's also a part of the problem. Not that you can't have a belief system, but when your belief system is used as a handicap, in my opinion, that's different.
Well, I feel like I didn't see like all of the apology videos, but I did see the first one, and he said, the truth is that Derrick Jaxn has been engaged in, things inappropriate sex and not just going out to lunch, but this and this and stuff like that. And it really seemed like a theme of him not taking ownership. He refers to himself in the third person. He's saying he won't say directly, I had illicit extramarital sex with other people. And so for someone who preaches taking ownership and about, relationships and being real, he isn't being real. So I think, with 3 million followers, everyone's talking about him. He's made the Breakfast Club, rumors and on Essence and all this stuff. So I think it's an opportunity, as far as his brand, so many couples have dealt with infidelity. And I think if smart guy going to take this and turn it into, this cheating apology tour and what strengthened our marriage. Because she did say when she first found out, Janae first found out that she did leave him and she didn't come back until she saw some changes in his behavior. So maybe she's not oppressed as she looks over there in that bonnet with a cap. So, you know, but
Yeah,
I think there's a lot at stake. And I think there's a lot on the line for him because, you know, 3 million followers, he's a millionaire, it's all relationships. So he better take this and he better flip it and spin it and do some things with it.
Yeah, you're gonna
I just want to say that Christian stuff he was saying, I thought that was all game to me, to be honest with you, because if you look at this lady, she's constantly talking about, you know, God, Jesus, the Bible, and I feel like with guys, you know, if you want a type of woman, you know that's what she likes. I feel like you mold yourself into it because, you know, he's talking about God and Christ, and you know, he falling in love with Christ while still lying. You know, if you saw his first apology video when he went on YouTube, you know, he said he had the lady come over and he didn't have any sexual relationships with her. Comes to find out that's a lie. But I just feel like, to me, in my own opinion, and just knowing how some guys manipulate women, he's making himself to be this Christian man who's really, you know, loving Jesus and everything. And I believe that's the only way his girlfriend would take him back, because that's all she talks about. So he's molding himself into that man, which I think is very manipulative in my point of view.
Well, you know, what's interesting is that whenever you have a man of prominence who has a large female following, and he's apologizing for some ratchet, ridiculous stuff that he did, first thing he'll do is he'll lean on the Christian side of the faith, because there's such a big margin of error for forgiveness. You know, so you go out and you apologize, you say, right, well, I'm only human, I'm not perfect. And people are like, well, I'm human too, and I'm not perfect either. And studies show actually that Black women are the most religious group of people in America. And so effectively, you know, it unfortunately lends itself to some of the more extreme examples we see in the church. I don't think the Black church is all bad. I think the Black church is very diverse, and I'm not here to crap on the Black church, but y'all know we got some pimps in the pulpit. Y'all know this, right? And so if you imagine, there's a reason why some churches, for example, will not allow themselves to have a pastor who is either young, unmarried, or both. If you are a 31-year-old, you know, good-looking man who ain't got a wife, they already expect you're gonna be hoeing all up in their church. And remember, it takes two to tango. It ain't just him. You know, let's stop this whole like, oh, well, it's just the Black man's fault. The Black man. No. A lot of the women who are mad at Derrick and is talking smack about him will be throwing the draws at him too if they had the opportunity. So I think that's
what we haven't talked about is the women who knew he was married.
Let's talk about that, please. I think we should talk about that too, because I'm gonna tell you like this, and Zaki, I'm gonna go to you. I was a little bit irritated by the woman that decided she's obviously getting revenge. She's obviously mad about something. Now, I'm not trying to say that she has no reason to be mad, but you would have to put a gun to my head to get me to go on the internet and tell you about any woman I was ever with. I mean, of course, I only have eyes for Alicia, but you know, I had a life before Alicia. No, you don't kiss and tell. You know, men don't do that. Men don't do. It's only women that are allowed to go and say, "Well, he tricked me into sleeping with him." Well, men can't do that. I'd be looking crazy if I did that to a woman and blew up her whole spot just because I'm mad because she wouldn't give me none no more, or she wouldn't send me money or whatever. Zakia, please go ahead.
Well, one of the things that came up for me, I watched his video and he talked about a lot of trauma. So I don't want to like say that is not possible. Certainly, you know, as Black folks in America, there's definitely a tinge of trauma just being Black in America with that. The other piece that I hadn't seen a lot of conversation on, I was actually surprised about, was the other women. Clearly, you know, they knew he was married. And so for the sister who, I guess, you know, put him out there, clearly her feelings were hurt, and, you know, you get all of that and everything. But to me, it's like, what was the agreement? You know, what did you ask for? You know, what was the relationship? What was y'all agreement? Or was there an agreement? You know what I mean? And from the way he explained it, the way she was taking pictures or whatever, and like, I guess for her, like taking pictures of like being with him, it was all a game in her mind to me as well. Like knowing that, you know, the brother is married and everything, and like you wanted to be able to eventually use that in the future. Now he has mentioned the fact that she wasn't the only one. Like he said that with his wife sitting next to him, that there have been multiple women. And to my knowledge, I believe she's the one sister that went on the podcast with the other woman that I don't know who she is. I don't watch her either. She was the only one to actually make what happened between them public. So, yeah, I mean, we see, to me, it's like, it's common. You see, and I don't know like what the other women on the panel would think about this, but I have known like some sisters to see it as a competition, you know what I mean, with the other woman.
Yeah, I can see that too, and I think that I think that Derrick deserves a lot of what he's getting only because you worked so hard to convince the world that you were so perfect, and that's just the danger in general. When you present yourself in a brand, and then also like Tony mentioned, throwing black men under the bus, to make yourself look like the perfect man. A lot of guys have seen that BS, and it gets on our nerves when you see it, because I think that you're better served when you learn, when you get honest feedback from men, about who we are and what we like. And the same thing is true with women as well. It doesn't help me if I'm comparing my mate to some porn star in a bikini, with her boobs out, who's sitting there telling me all the things I want to hear. Right? She's telling me, well, it ain't your fault, and everything you're doing is perfect, and it's really her, and these women need to do this and do that. And that brand is out there on the internet too. You see women, really pretty women, who attract big audiences of men who want to sit there and stare at them as they sit and feed a stupid fantasy. I want to ask you about this. Anybody can jump in on this one. I remember a long time ago, I mentioned it the other day when Alicia and I were talking about this very same topic, and there was this guy who was a friend of my brother's years ago, and he was like this real chubby guy, but he had all these girls liked him, and they couldn't figure out. They're like, how is this fat dude getting all the women? And so they asked him, I said, what's your secret? What do you do? Because there's always like a formula. And he said, it's easy. He said, you just sell them a dream. He said, just whatever their fantasy is, find out what it is and feed it. And then I saw another quote that was interesting. I'd like to get anybody's comment on this. And it said, and I don't know if y'all think this is true or not, but it said, you don't have to lie to your woman. Just tell her the truth, and if she loves you, she'll lie to herself. So what do you think? Do you think that I'm wondering if there's a big chunk of Derrick's audience that is just looking for any reason to forgive him? Like, just tell me anything. Just give me something to hold on to. You already gave me Jesus, right? That might be enough for 80% of them. But then the other 20% is like, just tell me anything that's going to make me believe that you're redeemable. What do y'all think about that? Did I sound insulting when I said that, or when I shared that information?
You didn't sound insulting at all, Boyce. I mean, it's normal. I think she probably felt like she got a great catch, like he's a good catch in her mind. And so when you think that in your mind, oh my God, she probably thinks I'm so lucky to be married to him. He probably doesn't think that way about her, or he wouldn't have cheated and done what he had done to her. But she probably is thinking, oh my God, he's such a great catch. And when you think that way, it is very difficult for you to realize that you might be a victim of controlling abuse, which is what I'm suspecting. And in these situations, you give up your power, you give up your control over your life. And this causes a lot of pain, of course. And if I was working with her, I would work with her to become very aware of what's happening. Like, it's like you get amnesia or selective forgetting about what happened, and her disbelief. I'm sure this experience was probably very overwhelming for her. And as a defense mechanism, she probably has allowed herself to believe that he has found Jesus Christ and has turned the corner, and she's allowing herself to totally forget about what happened. And that's a way of coping with something that was probably extremely tragic and painful for her.
I think that's the same denial that many of his supporters are brokering in as well, because it's like they cannot face the fact that they've pretty much been duped. If you think about it, it's easier to just kind of say to yourself, oh, well, make a bunch of excuses for him. Well, he didn't really mean to cheat that way, because those girls, those women that he was messing with, she was just being really vindictive the way she did it. You're going to come up with all these excuses to preserve how much you've invested in him, rather than just facing the fact that a lot of people are pretty much, they're too lazy to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants a solution in a bottle, like a quick fix to their problems, their relationship problems, because they don't want to put in the work. And that's what gives guys like Derrick Jaxn their opening. They capitalize on that laziness and that entitlement. I'm just being real by telling you exactly what you want to hear. And it's intoxicating. So you're always going to be on that high. Yeah, it's the men's fault. I'm just everything. I can do nothing wrong. So you just get stuck in that rut. So when you're faced with the truth, the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance, it kicks in, and you can no longer face the reality of like, oh my God, wait, this whole world that I've built around myself of the perfect woman and men ain't shit, it ain't real.
Wow. Well, everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with our all black panel, and we're having an intelligent black conversation about a lot of things, love, relationships, everything else, and also Derrick Jaxn in particular. So if you could take 1 second, everybody in the audience, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done that yet. And so one of the things I want to ask everybody on the panel is, when you think about Derrick and you see he's built this massive following as a relationship guru, and I'll see a lot of people that are licensed therapists that have all kinds of degrees and everything, and who maybe have 35 followers on Instagram, little things like that. I'm really curious. What is Derrick's qualification in this field? I mean, is not to say that you went to school to learn anything, but does he have
I just think he uses, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's very nice looking. I mean, he's not a relationship expert that's catering to men and women. He's a specific niche. He's a very muscular, chocolate, dark-skinned black man, handsome. He's catering to single women who may have, going through these or women who are, dealing with F-boys. I won't curse. And so, or feel that they're dealing with F-boys. And so, it's like the preacher. It's like the preacher of the church, where there are all these single women. The pastor, he's the father, he's the husband, he's the comforter for all these women. And so it's already lopsided to begin with, because he's not being honest with the audience. But then if you're honest with the audience, then you lose the audience, because people want to be lied to. Very, very people really want to do the work. The people that are really wanting to do the work, they're not over there listening to Derrick Jaxn. They're over there to the therapist's office. They're with Dr. Alicia, Alicia. And so that's where they are. And so, that's the thing. But like I said, I think that, he could turn this around and turn this into, we survived the relationship. I just went to his site. He has some very, very lovely pictures, and he's got card games and books, and he's built an empire off of lonely black women. So, he's not going to let that crumble. He's not going to let that crumble. So, now he's got his wife out there. And as far as the girl that told it to Tasha K, now she said he told her that he was separated, and when she got to the house, there were boxes over there. But see, in my book, separated still means married, because if anybody, something happens, somebody need to pull the plug, it won't be you, it's going to be her. So,
Well, I guess it's as much as you can critique, people who want to try to put people on blast or take pleasure in taking people down. It comes with the territory. I think that when you put yourself out there in a certain way, things are going to happen. I mean, I've had rocks thrown at me, with things that just weren't true, and you just learn to live with it. And one thing that I do believe firmly is that, that if you benefited people, and I think Derrick benefits people in a certain way. It might just be the same way a drug addict or drug dealer benefits heroin users. Like that you really can make that analogy, where it's like, look, I'm gonna sit here, with my chocolate body and tell you that you're perfect and wonderful, and help you live in this little bubble of perfection that makes you feel better about your terrible life. Maybe that's a service he's providing, no different from the way a comedian tells jokes, right, and gets paid to tell jokes and make you laugh. People like those opiates. People when they're going through black trauma and pain and the challenges, they like those opiates. And really, what's so sad about it to me is there's so many traumatized people in our community. So many people that can be easily manipulated and emotionally exploited. And you see it happen. The politicians do it when the Democrats and Republicans are telling you that the other party's going to come kill you, and we Lord Jesus, they're trying to get you to take vaccines or just all, sell your product to boost your self-esteem. And so I think that's where the ethical conversation has kind of come into play. Now, just so you guys know, I read Derrick's bio while we were talking, and I saw that he graduated from Tuskegee, but I saw nothing about any sort of specific credential.
Wow.
Years. Maybe your dad taught Derrick. Wouldn't that be funny? But so let me ask y'all this. All right, so give me your final thought just in terms of moving forward. I mean, what do you think we've learned from this? What do you think Derrick's learned from this? I'll start with you, Zakia. Maybe just some sort of a couple of Derrick Jaxn in his life. It's about.
I believe that Black families matter. Seriously, like
it was, and Derrick actually shared that meme where it was what I have been taught you do in a relationship, which is T. I saw Button to smile. And I said, that's right. I mean, God bless that was pandering. That came off as pandering. So, T, what are your final thoughts on?
Because we think extreme like this has to happen. There's a disconnect in our community where Black men and Black women aren't listening to each other. We're just going our own ways. And then this Black, white, or whatever, and just exploit us because they know it's exactly what happened to Derrick Jaxn. Get the benefit of the doubt. Such happy Father's Day to the mothers out there. Jackson never really built any bridges with Black men at all. So when he's attacked, if you notice, he's not getting defended by anyone. Nobody is defending him, not even Black women. Like, he's out there alone. And I feel like if he was balanced and he, built bridges with Black men, we can kind of defend. It would be give him a little realism on his side versus he's pandering. He will look more realistic, but no, he didn't do that. So to me, this almost can seem like a massive L for Black men in general, because his following not only have Black women following, I saw white women, all types of other women like, oh man, you go, boy. But then he comes out doing that, and it's like, man, it's like, do we want to listen to Black male gurus? I mean, because it just seems like these scandals always pop up, and it's just frustrating that it's coming from our men. So no, he did a lot of damage, and I don't know if he could come back, but quite frankly, I don't care at this point.
Okay, so by the way, I want to mention Zakia has a great podcast on YouTube, right? Zakia, Real Talk with ZSJ.
Yes, on YouTube.
Yeah, Real Talk with ZSJ. So I hope everybody will subscribe. Zakia is a very smart Black woman that has a lot of great things to say, and I hope everybody will subscribe to her.
And Boyce will be a guest on April. I don't know if this on your calendar. You coming? Yeah.
make sure Taryn has it on there.
Taryn has it, yeah.
I will be there with bells on. I can't wait. And also, Tony Lindsay, before I go to Dr. Alicia, you said you had a message for Derrick's wife. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just wanted to give like a quick little message because I see she's been putting up like a whole bunch of videos explaining herself. I think she even did one today. And one thing I want to kind of say to her is, sis, maybe fall back from explaining yourself. And I myself, I'm the son of a pastor. So she uses a lot of scripture and she speaks about no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. So I just want to guide her to just read a certain scripture, Ephesians 5, verse 6. And it says, let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sins of disobedience. And that's just basically telling you that, avoid all contact with with deceivers and don't join in with them in their sin or comply with it. So I just want her to please face that and realize when you are being deceived and don't just stand by and take it. I'm just saying that with love.
Well, I'll say this before I go to Dr. Alicia. I feel like I don't feel personally like I have much ability or right to make any recommendations for Derrick or his wife on how to manage their marriage. Right? I think marriage is very personal, and my 2 cents for anybody listening is, when it comes to your life, just know you're the boss of that. Right? Nobody has a right to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. It's just like, for example, when I got on my knees and proposed to Alicia and I had my emotional moment, oh man, I had all kinds of dudes calling me simps and saying this and saying that, and I didn't even care. I was like, man, F all of y'all, because this is my life. Like you're not bringing any of that with you into your home, and it's the internet. The internet ain't even hardly real. It's real, but it's not, right? It goes away when you turn your computer off. And I think that's a way to keep your sanity, because there is a downside to this, this so-called internet fame, in that it can drive you crazy because you got a million people and everybody's got an opinion. And I had to even, have talks with Alicia about this. And I was like, okay, are you sure you want to go out here? Because some of these people are crazy, and we had to kind of figure that out in the beginning. And one thing I can definitely say is that, how we run our relationship is going to be, based on what we choose to do. But then again, we're in our 40s, so we're able to figure that out a little bit better. I imagine Derrick and his wife being younger, they're going to need some guidance. If they decide to stick it out, get some support, get some guidance from people that you trust that can help you manage all of this, because the fame it's good on one hand. You got this money and this access and whatever, but then there's the other side. It will test your mental health, believe me. So Dr. Alicia, ma'am, what is your final thought?
I agree with you, Boyce, 100%, by the way. My final thought is that for people to walk away with is, let's see, research really does tell us that couples, when you're having problems, if you actually confront those problems, learn about specific relationship skills, commit yourself to staying together and work through them, you actually can be happy again down the road. And sometimes couples, you may need outside help, to help save your marriage, but it is possible. And in that process, if you're on the brink of ending your marriage or ending your relationship, it is going to force you to have to seriously think about what your partner is asking you to do, and you need to do it. If it's more space, is your partner asking you help with money, help around the house, stop nagging, stop spending time on your phone. I have seen where couples take these things and honor their partner, truly honor their partner. And then they start to begin to see each other in a different light than they did before. And in that way, it actually can give your marriage a second chance, because your partner now knows, oh, this person is truly committed and sincere about making change. And then sometimes I've seen couples where it's just like, this is just too late. You may not be able to save your marriage once the damage is done, no matter how hard you try to get things better. But I think the biggest thing is that there is hope. If unhappy marriages can become happy again, and it does take work.
All right. Well, if everybody could take 1 second and please give a digital thank you to the panelists, to this very intelligent group of Black people who all stepped up to allow us to have this great conversation. Mrs. Akia, Tony, and T, and Dr. Alicia, and Dr. Charm. And you saw their URLs on the screen. I hope you will support what you saw on the screen. Like, these are Black people that have Black-owned businesses, and they're doing their thing and doing it very well. And also, I want to, my quick final thought on this. One of the things that really stood out the most to me about that whole Derrick Jaxn scenario was, and this was before all this happened, and none of this surprised me, by the way. Like, I knew it was happening. The only thing that surprised me was that it got out there. But I kind of figured, I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of see what's happening here, and but I don't care. That's not my business. But the thing that was also interesting in hindsight when I thought about it is that if you notice, all those years that he was out doing this stuff on the platform, a lot of you mentioned this earlier. You alluded to this. A lot of people didn't even know he had a wife. And I'm gonna just tell y'all a little secret.
Those he never posted her.
Yeah, and so that means either he was protecting her privacy, which is a possibility, right? Because I've done that. I have relatives that y'all may not know about because they don't want to be out there like that, right? And I shouldn't put them out there like that. But then it becomes one of those things where there's something to be said about how loud a man will scream that he loves you. And I can use myself as an example, because I'm tossing myself out there, throw the darts or whatever. But let me just tell you this. People don't know. I had a relationship before I got with Alicia, and it was a long relationship. And you could go search my Facebook profile, and you would have to search real hard to find any pictures of us anywhere on my Facebook page. it wasn't because I didn't like the person. It wasn't because she wasn't a great woman. It was because she wasn't the one, right? And I wasn't the one. She married someone else, and I'm going to marry someone else, and it's okay. It's fine. There's no problem there. But you know, the fact that I told the world that this was the person that I love is a way. It's a coping strategy to kind of say, okay, back up. You know, because some women are sneaky. Some women will do whatever they got to do. But then there's a lot of women who just kind of will at least know to kind of like, okay, if you're not going to be aggressive with me, I'm not going to be aggressive with you. And this is something I think the lady should pay attention to. Like, really, I think if you have a man, and same thing can be true on the other side as well. I think women, if you love a man, why isn't he anywhere in your social media? But I think if you have a man and he says he loves you, and you have no problem being on his social media, and he will not share his love for you with other people, I think that there's usually a reason why. I'm not saying that it's anything sinister. I probably done got some guys in trouble, some women in trouble maybe, but I think it's a question to ask because there's a reason why I'm okay with talking about this woman in public. It's because it's like, okay, she's the one. I'm ready to do this.
Proclaim and profess.
Wait, say it again.
Proclaim and profess. I think Steve Harvey talked about that and Think Like a Man. If the man wants to proclaim and profess about you, if he's
so
really
true.
into you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think men who do that sort of thing, I think that we should also give them props because that's really a big deal for them. That's a very big. It's like a woman choosing to sleep with a man. For some women, that's a heavy decision. Well, for a man to say, okay, this is it. I'm telling the whole world that this is my woman, it can cause a lot.
It also makes you a magnet. Then there's some women who only target men who are with other women and men who are married.
That is true.
I know you know that.
Oh, I know. Just like there are men who are going to target married women. If your marriage ain't solid, he don't care. If you're violating your marriage, he won't care, right? So I agree with you. I think in both ways. There are single people who actually almost see it as a sport to take down, somebody's relationship. And I think that, the hard part, I think that goes on for men, and I'm sure women have their own version of challenges, but is that I almost feel like for a lot of the men, it's like you can't win for losing in the sense that if you don't make the commitment, everybody says, what's wrong with you? You won't commit, you won't commit, you won't commit. But then if you make a commitment and you tell everybody, okay, I'm committed to this person, well, you're going to get phone calls from women that were hoping that they would be the one, right? And now, and a lot of women are trained to blame their broken heart on some man, like you took something away from me. But when you think about marriage is a one-to-one kind of thing. We don't have polygamy, at least not legally in our society. So when he picks that one woman, and if he's an attractive man that lots of women are interested in, then when he makes that choice, there's going to be a lot of women that are going to be mad. They're going to say, well, you're a bad person because you didn't pick me. Well, how can I pick everybody? I can't pick everybody. I can only pick one, right? So there are just paradoxes there, I think, in relationships. I think that should be considered. And I think it's not a matter of saying, oh, let's feel sorry for men or feel sorry for women. I think it's a matter of knowing what it is. Like, I just really, one thing that frustrates me, I'm a realist. And one thing that frustrates me the most about relationship conversations I see online is that it's a bunch of bullshit. It's just like these weird little fairy tales laid out of these idealistically perfect scenarios that people are supposed to buy to. And I just don't see real relationships happening that way. And I encourage everybody, if you want to do this for yourself, like be ready to do the work and be really ready to confront reality on what that actually looks like so that you can know things when you see them. One example, I'll throw this and I'm going to be done. I know guys who are very famous, who are Derrick Jaxn, attractive, who go city to city and meet literally every single day. They meet 5 women who think that he's the man of their dreams. And I remember sitting here, and I'm a mathematician, but I don't need my math degree to know this. But I'm like, how can all these women? How can you be the one man for all of these women when you're meeting 30 new women a week who are falling in love with you, right? Because you fit a fantasy. Like, why aren't they going down the ladder? Why aren't they going after the guy that's actually available as opposed to going after the guy who's clearly unavailable, but somehow believing this false belief that you can get him when 3,000 other women want him too? I don't know how that works. A whole lot of feelings get hurt in those situations, and nobody ever talks about it that way. And I probably sound weird and crazy. And I guess it's because I'm a weird person. But I think that kind of logic is how you get to the root of how the world works so you can get what you want. And I don't think people do that. And then you end up miserable and unhappy and you don't know why. So be smart. Don't be stupid. Come on. We can do better. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for letting me rant. I appreciate it. And everybody who's watching, the blacklovechannel.com, that's actually a relationship YouTube channel we have where we bring on relationship experts. In fact, I know sometimes Zakiya and Dr. Charm and actually all of y'all have things to say. So, if you have things you want to add, feel free to reach out to us. And please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button on your way out the door. And we love you guys. Thank you guys for listening. And we will see you all very, very soon.